So today we're going to talk about God and gods. Because my brother had a topic there about what you call it, the Hebrews, the Israelites, and God and gods. So I'm going to speak about the gods that the native people had, especially my people, right? The Taínos, descendants of the Boricuas. That's what we're going to talk about. Because I'm sure that we had our own gods before anything had happened to our native land, a land of paradise where we lived, that we lived for generations after generations before all this conquest stepped into our lands, right? Gods that we believed in that has nothing to do with image, because right, and the book says, remember I call it the book, the book that referred to the Holy Bible, or whatever you may call it, because I don't know what you want to call it. So for my purpose, so there won't be no arguments. I'm gonna call it the book. So way before the book was written, and since you did your research, you should know when the book was written and when it was circulated. But that's a whole nother topic, because we're gonna talk about gods, not one God but many gods. So in my native nations of indigenous people, we worship the sun god, right? The son of hurricane, known to us as a huracán. Why the sun god? Because the sun god gave us light and warmed us up, even though we lived in a tropical climate. But that's what we worship. The sun god has no image, and you cannot how should I say, you to force images of a person's liking, because a sun is not an actual person on an image, right? It's the actual thing of naturally made, or was there or created by the universe. So it's not considered an image replacing the actual God, because God is not an image or thing that you could worship, right? It's a universal thing. And also we believe that the hurricane we call huracán is the wind god, right? The wind that blows and creates water, lightning, whatever we call that our God. Things that are natural within the world. Things that have nothing to do with anything being false image, because it wasn't an image, it was natural, created by the elements of nature. So those were our gods. And when we pray to the earth, to the food we bless, to the ground we bless, that we eat and we step on, that we walk in. Those were our gods. So I don't think, like you say, that God was disappointed and cursed us because we sinned, because we are worshiping what God gave to us and what we know was there, and we're giving a blessing to it. It's not that we worship false gods, because there was no gods there. You cannot describe how a sun looks, no matter how many persons describe it. It's undescribable, just like the wind god we call huracán. And that was a god to us. And if it will rain, we'd be happy that it rained. We'd be playing in the rain or whatever not. It's just natural to us to do things. And the rain will provide us our soils to be fertile our soil so we could grow crops. So that's what we consider our gods back then. So if you say that we sinned because we was kneeling and praising to false gods, that God of creation would have probably destroyed us, gave us a flood a long time ago. So in my humble opinion, I think that has nothing to do with that, because there was many people in different nations already worshiping their gods, and we live in peacefully, and every different nation had their own god, and God never struck them down. If he wanted, he could have flooded, like you say, put a curse on them, like you said. But that never happens, right? We've been living there for generations. How do you think that those lands multiply fruitfully with people? Obviously, it wasn't cursed. You know, we was eating, hunting, like nothing. You know, the reason why the Europeans took us off our land, because also it was not only beneficial, then it was fruitful. You could live off our land. They didn't have that type of land. I think they never seen such lands fruitful like that in multiplication. So I don't think God had any issues with us worshiping our own gods, right? Egypt had its own gods, and Egypt's been around for generations before Noah's Ark, Moses, and Jesus, right? When they went there, those gods were already there. And how come they wasn't cursed or the statues burned down or flooded, right? How is the flood that happened, and they say flooded the entire earth? How is it when they got there that those things were still standing and there was people there? It's either I got it wrong or reverse, or I'm saying it the right way. So if you know what happened, correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm sure when they got there, those temples already there. So if you say that you committed sin and you was cast out and cursed because you was praising false gods, so what about the other nations? When you got there was already gods there. The Egyptians already had worship already gods too, right? They had a sun god just like we did. The only thing they had, that other things that I remember because of these movies and all these books, right? That dark dog or whatever, but a dog is naturally made by God too. So, you know, dog with pointy ears and things like that. You know, they had a lot of things. They had birds. Everything they had was natural. And how come they wasn't cursed? Why is it that you was the only one cursed with this? Or is it that they reverse things on you and make you believe that you committed sin amongst the gods? Because those people wasn't cursed at all. If that was the case, there wouldn't be an insistence, right? So I believe that we all had different gods, and way before the exploration to these nations had nothing to do that we had gods, right? Because usually if you seen history and all that, you see that the Europeans, they destroyed their own nations, right? They was in chaos. They were fighting each other. They just couldn't get along. They were envy against the other kings, the other nations. They all wanted to have power and gold and silver and riches. And they was at each other's throat. They killed themselves within the thousands, you know, back and forth, just fighting. You know, the only people, they established themselves in small section, right? And they had castles, but who built them castles? It had to be their own slaves. You know, they was killing each other, and when they needed people out, they would go outside the little castles, like with 6 or 5 people in horses, and that was their power, and go around the poor little areas and take whatever they wanted, right? They see a little village, they go in, they rape the mothers, they kill the husbands, and any child, a male, they will induct them and train them in the army and whatever. And these kids were never seen ever because they surely died in war. Already they took them since they was young and they trained them in the army until they were adults, and they never seen their parents again. Why? Because these people are savages, man. These people will rampage, killing everybody, and God never struck them down. And they knew that. That means God also knew that they had their own God. The thing is that they gods were fighting among each other. When the other nations wanted something get done, what they call on? They call on their gods to do something to their gods, and they would call on their gods to do something. And there was back and forth, bittering, fighting and fighting. So there was depleting in people. The only way to get at that dilemma, right? Dilemma means trouble, confusion, is to find some other way so that they all could have riches. And the only way to get rich, right? It's explore some distant lands way out. And so when they went to us, we didn't want to believe their stuff. We already had our own gods, and we were happy with our own gods. We never put our own gods to fight each other, right? Everybody was in harmony. So I believe that every nation, indigenous people, had their own God. And if you think I'm wrong, put it out there. Or prove me wrong, or tell me that you think I'm right. Write something in the comment, or share it with somebody that knows, because we want to know. That's what we're here. We're here to learn and exchange ideas. We're not here to bigger among each other and fight, because we don't want to be like them, right? We don't want to destroy our nations. We want to bring up our nations. We want to have our nations, our indigenous people, to feel proud that they live in a period that was for us to conquer. We conquer our own lands. We were free to go wherever we wanted without no fighting or bigotry or things like that, right? We lived happy amongst each other. Well, barefoot and naked. There was no rape, no nothing. Everybody was content with what they had. So that's what I'm saying. I think our indigenous people had their own gods until the Inquisition of this book coming by, and it messed everything up. Like I say, it just destroyed everything for us. And then to this day, we so caught up in that book that people forgetting their native symbols and their traditions. But I don't forget, because I grew up on that. And I know that we always have the sun god, right? Because it's a provider's light, and the sun is almighty because it shines on everybody. So we consider the sun god. We consider the huracan, the hurricane, to be one of our gods, because it provides us with rain, separation, time to relax, time for the crops to grow. Everything was equal within the gods that we preach and everything like that. We, gave our thanks to, because it gave us light and it fertilized our ground. So what's wrong with that? Is God had a problem, He would have done with us a long time ago, but He didn't. God didn't punish us. What it was another nations that came in and took advantage of our situation. Why? Because we wasn't warriors fighting gods like that. The type of warriors we were hunters to our own nations, to keep our family living and happy. So that's what it was. So I don't think God has nothing to do with the religion that you're talking about. Like I said, it's not for us to decide and for me to decide what was right and what was wrong. The only one that knows that is this creator who made all this possible. Because if he didn't want this to happen, he would have stopped it a long time ago. I always say that to myself. If things were so wrong, wouldn't the creator stop all this? But no, it continues to happen. On my own liking, because I say liking, like they all do when they read a paragraph. I think they put the words to their own liking to change things around, to explain it. But I'm not gonna explain something that was never corrected, right? By the Almighty. Like you said, the Almighty High wanted like that. Because when they came there, we were still living all right. When he wasn't there, we was living all right anyway. So I don't think it had to do anything with God's. I think, like my brother Kim said, that we all had gods. Thing is that when you put your God and kneel to another God, that's it. He said, what's the term that he used? Forget, because it's gods involved. Don't have no other God before me. There you go. I think it's something like that. Do not have no other gods before me. That means if you had a native God, he didn't want you to go and kneel to another God that was not of your nation. So that God is considered out of your nation. You cannot bow to another God that's not from your nation, that has nothing to do with you. So that's my humble opinion. Because I know you're going to say, no, it's my belief. You're going to get bent out of shape and start getting cynical about it. So I suggest if you know something, you put it out there. And with that, I'll let you go. And I'm going to put some hieroglyphics of the gods that I'm talking about that was from my ancestors, the Taínos Boricuas. And that's what I'm going to put in with that. I'll let you go.